Well, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to share some facts about protein intake. So my goal this year is to take fitness to another level. I'm always active and relatively healthy with eating. But again, I want to this year focus on measuring that a little bit more and being more specific. And as I find things that help me, I want to share that with you. And so one of the things that I have recently been looking into is protein intake. So I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard too, a lot about protein intake and how important that is. And honestly, when I was in my 30s and 40s, I didn't focus on protein intake. And as you know, I hit perimenopause and now menopause, I am focused on how important that is. And so I want to talk today about some facts about protein intake and then real world applications for that. And so as I found some things that would help me, I wanted to share them with you. What I want to share at the end of the video, and I would love for you to stay tuned because I want to hear what you think about a traditional approach and recommendation versus what regenerative medicine or wellness experts recommend for protein intake. So I have a couple things I found on my deep dive that I'm going to share at the end, and I would love to see what you think. So the facts are protein intake is important. And so we want to build muscle, and that's important for overall wellness. So the facts are, yes, you need more protein. And as we get older, our hormones decline, and so our ability to build muscle decreases. So one solution for that is that you can increase your protein intake. Another is you can also do hormone optimization to, maintain that ability to build muscle, but you can also do some fitness tricks, and that's for another video. But you can do fitness tricks that will help you build more muscle. So there's lots of approaches, but if you looked at a goal of 1 gram per pound of protein intake a day, that's a good goal. Again, we measure ourselves by pounds and not kilograms. So when they frequently say 1 gram per kilogram, it means very little to me. And so I wanted to say it in pounds. It's 1 gram per pound. If you were to look at kilograms, you're talking about more of 2, a little bit over grams per kilogram. But in the US, we measure ourselves in pounds. So 1 gram per pound. What does that mean in the real world? How can we actually apply that without taking a scale or micromanaging our intake? And I like simple rules that I can follow because I don't want to complicate my life any further. And measuring my food is not what I want to do. I want to look at my meal and kind of say and be able to estimate. And I'm a great estimator. If everyone in my life knows that I will say I'm a great estimator, I want to estimate my protein intake as well. When I'm looking at 1 gram per pound, I want to get 50 grams per meal. So every time I sit down, and you really don't want to snack where you're doing snacks in between meals. So look at 50 grams per meal. And with that, if you look at an egg, it's 6 grams per egg. So if you got 4 of those, it's about 25 grams. And again, I'm estimating. And then if I wanted to get another 25 to make 50 during that, I would do a scoop of protein. So every scoop of protein being approximately 25 grams. So then you basically are looking at, if you're out or you're doing anything, any breast of chicken, a steak, a fillet, a fish of some sort, you're looking at approximately 50 grams per fillet. So whether it's a chicken breast, it's a steak, it's a fillet of fish, you're looking at about 50 grams. Again, that's just an approximation. Technically, it'd be 6 ounces of chicken is 50 grams, 8 ounces of steak. But if you just make sure that you get one of those with each of your meals, that would get you 50 grams. That way you can estimate and say you're 150 pounds, you need 150 grams. You've had 4 eggs in the morning with a scoop of protein. You've had a chicken breast with your salad at lunch. And then you've had a steak with whatever else you eat. And for me, I like to keep it simple because if you stayed in the perimeter of the grocery store where you're getting more complex things, complex carbohydrates, meats, anything healthy, then you don't even really strictly have to look at necessarily every ingredient. Just stay with unprocessed foods, the perimeter of the store, and try and eat healthy and get more active. And then you're going to reach your goal of protein and you're going to be healthy and be active. And so this was my video just to help you simplify it for your real world application without taking a scale or driving your waitress crazy at the restaurant with the food that you're ordering. But what are the other benefits of protein intake? Well, obviously, you're going to build more muscle. As you build more muscle, you metabolize a lot faster. And so it increases your metabolic rate. The thermic effect of burning protein when you intake protein versus carbohydrates and fats is a much bigger thermic effect. So again, great for your metabolism, especially as you get older. And then it looks better. If you look at 5 pounds of fat and 5 pounds of muscle, the muscle looks better. It's contained. The fat is globular. It's all over the place, can't be contained. So if a woman's looking at their legs and they're wondering, you want to build muscle so that you turn that muscle into fat. That's a simplification, but the more muscle you build, the faster you'll metabolize, and then you'll metabolize the fat. And then it also does give you fill effects. Satiety is important. And so you feel full sooner. And so those are the big benefits of taking in more protein from an overall health standpoint, and then how to do it. So the couple things that I found when I was looking into this is if you search on Google and you get those AI topics, like they'll have some videos and then they'll have some link articles. And so the first one that popped up with protein intake recommended per day, a Harvard article 2023 that recommended 36 grams per day of protein intake. So that would be that you were 46 pounds, right? There's not very many of us that are 46 pounds. So that's low. So the average person being about 140, 150, then that is 140 to 150 grams per day and not 46. So that's low. That's a 2023 and it's a Harvard study. And that's the first thing that's popping up when you look at an AI. So the next thing that I found, there was an article because we get a lot of questions about nutrition and perimenopause and menopause, and we do a ton of women and hormones. And so the next one was a nutrition article for perimenopause and menopause in the Nutrition Journal. And it was 2023 as well. And it talked about the 1 gram per kilogram, which is again about half of what I just recommended. And that if you hit the 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram, which is what I would recommend, the 2 grams per kilogram. Again, that's not how we measure ourselves here. So why do we report it that way? To make it confusing. Likewise, it went on to say with a study link that high a protein intake is actually detrimental to the bones. And so that is in strict contrast to what I just told you and what everything that I could find is based on, and all of the latest, again, science-based informational sources will say that's wrong. But it has a link actually, and that link goes to a statement from 2021 of the North America Menopause Society. So these are the societies that are writing guidelines that are guiding traditional doctors. And it basically says the same. And it also says the goal of any therapy would be to prevent future fractures. We also want a goal of therapy to have stronger bones, which you can do with stronger resistance, different fitness activities, but also hormone optimization, vitamin D. So the goal would be to prevent not just fractures, but to get our bones to be stronger. And then it talked about the ways to do that, some lifestyle interventions that it doesn't go deep into, but also that medications, and they should be only FDA approved medications, which had a whole list of medications that I wouldn't recommend. And instead, the things that make our bones healthier and prevent future fractures are hormone optimization, great fitness with some weight bearing, and vitamin D. So I would love to know your comments on these link articles, what you might have as a little trick for increased protein intake, and then also what you've been told so far or recommended by your traditional doctors. And what do you think about those latest links from traditional medicine? So let's start a conversation below and let me know if there's anything else you want to hear about, because I am willing to deep dive into anything wellness or sexual wellness. Thank you.